You know how sometimes you watch something maybe on a streaming service
Mm-hmm.
and you see a place, a hotel, an experience,
Yeah.
and suddenly it sticks in your head.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It goes from being just, part of the story to something you start thinking, maybe I could actually do that.
Exactly.
Mm.
And that feeling, that's kind of what we're digging into today. This really interesting convergence between entertainment, especially streaming shows, and our real-world choices,
Yeah.
how we spend our time, our money, particularly at the luxury end.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how these fictional worlds are becoming less passive. They're actively shaping what we want, what we aspire to, and maybe more importantly, driving actual spending on, well, really high-end stuff.
For sure. And we've got a perfect example to explore this,
Mm-hmm.
the HBO show The White Lotus and how it's impacted Four Seasons hotels and resorts. It's quite a story.
Mm-hmm.
So for sources today, we've got press releases from Four Seasons themselves about this new World of Wellness private jet trip, directly inspired by the show, they say. Then there's a piece from International Traveler that goes deep into the luxurious details of that trip, and also a Wall Street Journal article looking at the whole marketing angle between Four Seasons and HBO.
So for you listening, maybe you're in marketing, maybe luxury travel, or maybe you're just curious, like us, about how culture and business mix. Well, this deep dive should give you some sharp insights, quickly, hopefully without feeling, bogged down.
Yeah, our mission is pretty clear. Understand how a huge hit show like The White Lotus translates directly into, well, actual bookable ultra-luxury travel. And what are the business moves behind making that happen?
Okay, so where do we start? The set jetting idea seems key.
Yeah, let's kick off there. What exactly is set jetting? It sounds kind of obvious, but
Well, basically, it's just travelers wanting to visit places they've seen in movies or TV shows. It's not totally new, obviously. People have visited film locations for ages.
right, like going to see the Rocky Steps or something.
Exactly. But with streaming, you spend hours soaking in a place, right? The vibe, the details, it feels more immersive. So that desire to make it real seems stronger. You sort of feel like you've already been there almost.
And Four Seasons is explicitly saying this, aren't they? Their chief commercial officer, Mark Speichert, he's quoted saying, "The White Lotus fueled this trend, inspiring people to check out their hotels used in the show."
Yes, and that quote is important. It shows they're not just sitting back and enjoying the free publicity. They're actively
Yeah.
seeing it, naming it, and, building strategies around it. They get how entertainment is driving decisions now.
So it wasn't just luck that the show filmed there.
Yeah.
How did that partnership actually come together?
Well, initially, for season one, it seems like it was partly practical. The WSJ article mentions that when the producer, Mike White, was scouting during the pandemic,
Uh-huh.
the Four Seasons in Maui was one of the few places that could actually handle a big production because it was mostly shut down for guests anyway. So kind of good timing for both of them.
Wow, talk about timing is everything. But Four Seasons didn't really know what the show was about initially, did they? I read they didn't get full scripts for season one.
Exactly right. They had a basic idea, but not the full picture. So yeah, definitely a bit of a gamble. Eric Resnick from KSL Capital Partners pointed this out. Associating your fancy hotel brand with a show that has
Grisly murder and mayhem.
yeah, exactly that. Not every luxury brand would jump at that, potentially.
But then things shifted, right?
Yeah.
By the time season 3 rolled around, it wasn't just about using their locations anymore.
No, that's the key development the WSJ highlights. Season 3 marked the first time it was an official marketing partnership, where White Lotus, the show, actually let Four Seasons use the White Lotus brand name in their own marketing.
Ah, okay. That's a big step.
Huge. It shows how deep the relationship got. HBO gets the real-world luxury vibe from Four Seasons, and Four Seasons gets to tap directly into this massive cultural buzz around the show. It's really symbiotic.
And Four Seasons is definitely leaning into it. They're doing viewings at hotels, pop-up bars with themed drinks, which sounds pretty fun, actually.
Totally.
And they even put together a White Lotus-style wellness weekend at one of their California spots, Westlake Village. It's like they're hitting it from all angles.
It's smart engagement, isn't it? Connecting with fans, even if they aren't booking that huge trip yet, keeps the brand front and center.
But speaking of the huge trip, for those who are ready to dive into that fantasy, there's this World of Wellness private jet thing. This sounds like peak White Lotus made real.
It really is kind of the ultimate expression of this convergence. It's a 20-day trip, only 48 guests, hitting 8 destinations.
Okay.
And crucially, like the press release and the International Traveler article detail, it includes the 3 specific Four Seasons that were the backdrops for the show. Koh Samui in Thailand,
Season 3?
San Domenico Palace in Taormina, Sicily,
Season 2. Love that one.
and the Maui Resort at Wailea.
Season 1. Got it.
But it's broader, too, right? Like, it also stops in Singapore, the Maldives, Meritech, Nevis, Mexico City, all stays at Four Seasons, of course. It weaves the White Lotus locations into this bigger luxury wellness journey.
The experiences sound pretty tailored. Like in Koh Samui, you're snorkeling with a marine biologist doing Muay Thai, like you might see on the show.
Kind of echoing the vibe, yeah.
Yeah.
And in Taormina, cycling near Mount Etna, yoga, exploring town. Maui has outrigger canoeing, lomi massages. It's not just generic luxury. It feels connected to the place and subtly to the show's atmosphere.
Plus other wellness stuff like night spa in the Maldives, hammam in Marrakech,
Hot springs in Nevis, a Temazcal in Mexico City. Yeah, really curated.
and the travel itself. A private Airbus A321 for just 48 people.
Get this. Custom design, Italian leather seats, apparently 6.5 feet of personal space.
Wow.
An onboard lounge, concierge, chef, even a doctor traveling with them. It's absolutely top tier.
Okay, so the price tag must be significant.
Yeah, you could say that. The articles mention US $188,000 per person, plus extra if you're traveling solo. So clearly targeting a very specific, very wealthy demographic that wants this unique connection.
Right. So the big question then,
Yeah.
is this whole strategy, this gamble, actually working for Four Seasons? Is it paying off?
Well, according to the Wall Street Journal piece, it's been a massive marketing jackpot.
Okay, jackpot how?
The numbers are pretty stark. Website visits to the Sicily Hotel, up 193% after season 2 aired.
Whoa.
And the Maui property saw web traffic nearly triple. They also saw huge jumps, triple-digit percentages in people actually calling or emailing to ask about booking rooms there.
So direct link between people watching the show and then immediately looking up the hotel.
Seems like it. Very direct.
And are they just looking or are they booking?
Yeah.
And paying top dollar?
That's the other key point in the article. Occupancy rates for their bigger, fancier suites, the kind you see characters lounging in on the show, went up significantly. And crucially, they found new customers were willing to pay a premium specifically for that White Lotus association.
That really drives it home. It's not just brand awareness, it's translating into high-value sales because of the show's cultural pull.
Exactly. That observation from Mark Spiker, that travelers are just increasingly influenced by what they see on screen. These numbers really seem to prove him right. It's deeper than just seeing a pretty picture in an ad. The story hooks people.
Still, thinking back to that initial risk, partnering without knowing the whole plot, that took some nerve.
It really did. And Eric Resnick's point about the risk of negative association is valid. But apparently, Four Seasons had worked with Netflix before on Narcos Mexico, so maybe they had some sense of the potential upside versus the risk.
Right, and it's not like they own the concept now either. Other hotels are getting in on the act.
Yeah, the WSJ mentions Four Seasons doesn't have any guarantee for future seasons. And other luxury brands like the Mandarin Oriental and Bangkok are now actively promoting their appearance in season 3. So the rest of the industry is definitely paying attention.
Makes sense. They see what worked for Four Seasons.
For sure. The whole Four Seasons White Lotus thing has become this, textbook case study, showing that direct, very profitable line from a hit show to people wanting real-world luxury experiences inspired by it. It's a shift maybe from just ads to something more culturally embedded.
So wrapping this up then, this world of wellness jet trip really is the perfect symbol of this convergence we've been talking about. A hugely popular show directly creating demand for, well, incredibly high-end travel.
Precisely. Four Seasons played it smart. They leveraged this cultural moment from the White Lotus, not just to boost their image, but to actually attract a whole group of wealthy travelers looking to kind of live out a piece of that on-screen fantasy.
It really makes you think, though, doesn't it? If a TV show can spark this kind of specific super luxury product,
Yeah.
what else is out there? What other media, films, books, maybe even, big social media trends are shaping what we desire, what we buy, especially at that high end?
What other unexpected connections are bubbling up? That's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. The way entertainment and our real lives, our real spending, intertwine. It's constantly changing.
Well, this was a fascinating look at the White Lotus effect, really digging into how that show moved the needle for Four Seasons and the luxury market.
It really was. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Hopefully it gives you something to think about. Keep watching for those surprising links between the screen and the real world.